Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Due Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was normally shaking the Monday morning blues, but whoa, with the news we had, I called it Have You Lost Your Mind Monday. We talked about some craziness. We talked about a son, 44, so he was no baby, but was tired of taking care of his parents, ended up beating them up, abusing them, and knocking them down, and ultimately setting the house on fire. Yes, with them in the house, yelling, help me, we need your help, we need your help. And he left them there, straight there to die. Whoa, Massachusetts is burning with the craziness. We also talked about the Florida homeowner who was crazy mad when they saw the Uber Lyft driver drive into their driveway, look through the screen, and oh my goodness, she pulled down her skirt. Should have been up, but down the skirt, urinated, defecated, left the tissue there and everything, to remind somebody that they had been there. Not only that, had the nerve to then wave to a neighbor. Oh, have they lost their mind? Monday continues as the man who wanted his mama's money even after she was dead was accused of walking into the office to renew her ID in order to get her pension. Had already collected $60,000 in her pension money, but had her in the house dead and wrapped up while he dressed up in a scarf, sweater, cane, and everything, and pretended to be her. No, we surely can't forget the two individuals who recruited the mercenaries from the homeless population in Washington, D.C., and planned to take over the Haitian island with 100,000 people, kill all the men, and kidnap the women and children and sell them for sex slaves. Have they lost their mind? Monday is what we were faced with. There is just no way this stuff could be real. You can't even make this stuff up. This is what's happening in the world we live in. Yeah, never in a million years would I think that I would be behind news talking about the news that depicts such savage, depraved, maniacal people. Yeah, this is the kind of world we live in. And you want to know why we need Jesus? That's the reason why we need Jesus. Yeah. You need to check out all the comments that our men had to say yesterday. Yes, we twisted it around. It wasn't a Friday, Freestyle Friday. It was also a Freestyle Monday. The men had their say yesterday on Relationship Monday. And they talked about what husbands begin to do once they become unattracted to their wives. Yeah. Well, you know the due time, man. They never cease to amaze you, and they are definitely full of their own stories. Yeah, we even had Brother Ainsley come through with a crazy story yesterday of his own, not only Pastor Jeff, but I tell you, they were in rare form yesterday. And I advise you to go back and listen. But you want to definitely get that switch tip from Shantice. Let go of the complaints. Another very practical switch tip that we had coming in to our week off. And oh yeah, you know, when you survey the stories that we went through yesterday, yeah, you gotta wonder if you really got something to complain about. Yeah. You know, we never quite figured out a couple of things. One, in our story, we never figured out how did they find out that the two men were trying to take over the Haitian island. We never found out how the mother died. Did he kill her, or did she just die from natural causes? Because she was 83 years old before her son tried to actually impersonate her and collect her pension. There was still some unanswered questions in our stories yesterday. So, you know, let go of the complaints. Yeah. You're really going to have to go to God and give him a lot of thanks that you're not in the midst of any of these kind of stories. Yeah. Because there's a fine line that divides us from them. Only Jesus keeps us from being the people in the news. Wouldn't you say? If you know God and you know the power of prayer, then absolutely yes. So go back and listen or watch yesterday's episode, because we came back with a bang yesterday. All right. Well, today is Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And yes, the news was crazy again. And we do have some things to talk about. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's due time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
This is one of my favorite prayers that I pray every day. Grow my faith, Father God, until it consumes every voice that attempts to speak against your word. Cast down and I cancel out every thought and every high thing that speaks against the knowledge of God. Bring every thought into captivity and unto the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5. I thank you, Father God. Anybody that is going through a mental battle up here, do not forget what your greatest weapon is. The greatest weapon is your sword. What is the sword? The sword is the word of God. Don't forget that.
Good morning, and good morning again. Thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. I love that PSA. Yes. How to pray against negative thoughts. Didn't we just talk about that in our opening? Because that's the only way you're going to stop the attack from being like those we talked about yesterday. Yes. Pray against those negative thoughts. It just ain't gonna happen, y'all. It's not just gonna magically disappear. You gotta work at that thing. I love it. Good one, Shantice. Oh, We're going to leave Shantice to picking out the PSAs from now on. Yeah, she picks out much better ones than I do. So, thumbs up to you, my girl. Well, if you're on with me this morning, then your intent is to stay away from negative thoughts. Yeah, because we're going to help fill that mind with some good stuff as we talk about the bad stuff. Yeah? Yeah. So make sure you say good morning to Pastor Steph, because other than that, I don't know you're on. Let's say good morning to King Terrence. Good morning, my king. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Terrence. We got to check it from our girl, Ketty. Hey, Ketty girl, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining us. We got Simply Cute 89. Now, Vivian, I know that you only because your picture is up in that little circle thing. Girl, stick to one name because you're confusing me. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And we got to check in from our boy Serge. Hey, Serge, what's going on, as Marvin Gaye would say? We got to check it from Miss Charlene. What's going on, Miss Charlene? Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We got to check it from our silent girl, Lady Tamika. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I, too, love this morning's PSA. Yes. Fire. Yeah, that was good. That was a good one. That was a good one. Well, we must say good morning to the ladies who help hold it down each and every day. Let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Hey, Shantice. Good morning. Thank you so much for making sure that we are up and running. And let's say good morning to our girl Anika. Good morning. Thank you so much for ensuring that we're on. Now, last 2 weeks ago, we had some difficulty, some technical difficulty. So we're going to make sure we say good morning to Pastor Vinny, who's already on this morning. So we're glad that he had no problem getting on with us this morning. He won't be fighting those negative thoughts as he's trying to knock out the devil from keeping him on with us. I am like, okay, this morning. Yesterday, I was fighting this crazy headache. It was killing me, y'all. It was killing me. I didn't let on. But I'm telling you, it was killing me. Well, you know what we do every Tuesday morning. We go through some kind of crazy trivia. So this morning, I had two. And I think I'm going to hang out with this one this morning. So we got people who made a dying confession. We got to turn it up this morning. And then they didn't die. Can you imagine spilling your guts because you think you out of here, and then all of a sudden you see the next day? No, I can't wait to see what's under here. All right. I got a head injury when I was 17. While we were waiting for the ambulance, I was losing a lot of blood and started to black out. Before I did, I admitted to my parents that I'd hated them for the past 6 years and wished bad things on them. 5 years later, we've agreed to play nice until I graduate from college. They don't treat me differently. I don't tell the rest of the relatives how I feel and why I feel that way. Ooh. And then you turn around and needed them for college. Whoa, okay. All righty. Let's see what else is going on in these confessions. Let's see. I was positive the house was going to come down during an inland hurricane last year. I texted my roommate, who was at work at the time. So, hey, I might die. Just wanted to say I love you. Too much to risk by not saying it. If I don't croak, see you tonight. If I do, sorry for the levity. Well, the house was 95% unscathed. And she came home with a huge smile. saying she wanted to give it a try. We aren't together anymore, but all in all, it could have gone a lot worse. We got these dying declarations and then finding out I didn't die. One of my uncles confessed to having 2 other children with another woman. He thought he was going to die from COVID, and I guess he felt he needed to come clean. Well, he didn't die. That was back in 2020, and there's still a ridiculous amount of drama happening over potential inheritances and what. I attempted suicide 2 Decembers ago. I called my then boyfriend of almost 2 years and told him I finally believed he wasn't cheating and that I was so sorry for being so insecure and delusional. I apologized for being so suspicious of him and his only friend and said it was all just me being a terrible girlfriend. I survived the attempt, went to school the next day for midterms, got ghosted by him for 2 days, was broken up with, and then learned he was actually cheating and just making me think it was my fault. I regret ever apologizing. Wow. Let's see what else is going on in these deathbed or these death declarations. I want a good one. I haven't found a good one yet. My best friend, his crush, and I were riding our bikes in the nearby field forest. My best friend tripped on a rock and went flying into a tree head first. His crush and I saw the accident and ran over to help. Luckily, I had my cell phone, so I called 911. When I was calling, my friend told his crush that he liked her. His crush didn't reciprocate. A helicopter came and airlifted him to a nearby hospital, and he was okay. But he and his crush were neighbors, so it was awkward for like a year and a half between them. Wow. On his deathbed, while I was out of the room, my friend told my then wife that I was having an affair with another woman. I wasn't. She did mention this until he was in the ground. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. She did not mention this until he was in the ground. He was always a jokester. So either this was a very committed joke, or it was the brain cancer talking, or it was that my unhinged ex was just jerking my chain. I never will find out. Wow. I had a patient come into the ER who had a partial airway obstruction. He thought he was a goner. He told his wife on the way that he'd been having a decades-long affair. And of course, he ended up being okay. The wife left his room and did not come back. Wow. Wow. My dad was absent for 14 years. I was stabbed 3 times when I was 17, and I texted him to tell him that I regretted not trying to make it work. I'm on antibiotics forever now, but I also have a strong relationship with my dad. I guess that deathbed declaration made it, huh? Wow. I still didn't get no good ones. My ex's grandma's best friend. Okay, so we got to say that one all over again. My ex's grandma's best friend. That's like saying I'm my own grandpa. Was given something like 2 weeks to live. The friend had bit her tongue for years about some friends and family, but once she got the notice, she let loose. She also gave away almost all of her possessions, including her beloved prize-winning cat. 10 days later, she made a miraculous U-turn and lived another 2 or so years. She spent it estranged from the people she had gone off on, but remained close with those she loved. She always said she wished she'd been honest sooner. I don't know if she ever got the cat back, though. Wow. These are, I'm disappointed, y'all. I'm disappointed. I was looking for some real deathbed stuff. Many years ago, I was working in an open heart surgery ICU. I had a man in his early 40s as my patient. He had many tattoos of demons. He didn't recover very well after his emergency heart surgery and was in a medically induced coma for about 2 weeks before we could wake him up and remove his breathing tube. When he finally woke up, he was crying. He said, I feel like I just spent an entire lifetime in hell. I've done horrible things in my life, and I completely deserved it. He wept for hours and wanted to apologize to everyone he had ever hurt in his life. That one might be a topic. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. My dad thought he was dying and to confess to having a daughter with someone else. She's a few months younger than I am. Wow. When I was 12, my stomach hurt every day for months, and I thought I was going to die. So I told my best friend my Wizard 101 username and password. It was just really bad constipation. So did they access something? I don't know. I was disappointed with this one. I try not to read them because I like to be, authentically, shocked. But let's see. All righty. Tamika says, I'm temporarily muted for real, for real. Yeah, girl. Who's Crazy Blue 98? Are all Trump supporters racist? I don't know. What do y'all think? Tammy said would have got kicked out right away. I don't know who you're talking about. COVID got him to tell the truth. Yeah. I can only imagine some of the deathbed confessions that people have made over the years. You know what I'm saying? Scared that they were going to die and thought that something was going on. And I don't know. All I know is I'm keeping my mouth shut. Whatever I inhaled all these years, I ain't saying nothing. Nope, and nope. All right. Let's see what's going on in our news. We can start the news a little early since we ain't got no real deathbed confessions. I don't know. Let's see. Well, you know what? I want to start off with some bittersweet news. Yeah. We've been talking about all of these kids, and not necessarily children kids, but people who have been killing their parents. We did a story yesterday. We've been doing stories almost every week about somebody who killed a parent. And, here's a bittersweet story. On Thanksgiving Day in New Jersey, there was a massive fire. And unfortunately, two sisters, who's this? Tizia and PJ Flory, 49 and 42 years old, they perished in the fire, but not before going in and saving Dad. Yeah, they say Dad was disabled, had dementia. They actually got out of the house. They did actually survive the fire initially, went back into the burning house to save Dad, and ended up passing away. And actually everybody else made it. Yeah, there's 7 other family members, including the father, were able to escape. But the 2 of them, one was a Marine Corps veteran turned X-ray technologist, and Another one who was the founder of a wellness publication for African Americans called Brown Eyes Magazine. They both left a child behind. So we're going to lift that family up in prayer. Again, we have been talking about, people that kill their parents. And, I wanted to just salute them, and their lives for what they did for their dad. Not many would have actually gone back and tried to rescue anybody. Once you're out, you're out. They tell you to wait for the firemen to come in and do their professional jobs. But, I guess it was hard to know that your dad, could not do for himself. So we're praying for the family, thanking God for their sacrifice. Well, we got an update, y'all. Let me see if I can find this update. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we did the story about the Chicago dad who propped the baby up in the stroller and returned the baby to mom via the family member. And so for those of you who, we're going to go back and just kind of tell the story all over again. So there was a couple, and Anthony Evans, 23, is the father, and he had the baby for some reason for a month. Baby was 2 months old. When it was time to return the baby to the mom, he put the baby in a stroller, wrapped the baby up, handed the baby off to a family member, and asked the family member to actually return the child to the mom. It was raining. Mom grabbed the baby in the stroller, rolled something over the stroller, took the baby in the house. And when she went to take the baby out of the stroller, the baby was already dead and had been dead for 8 hours, up to 8 hours. So they actually have a little piece of information that they did not have when they first did this story. So come to find out that the two of them had been together. This couple had been together. She had told him that he had told her he didn't want the baby. When she made the announcement that she was pregnant, he told her that he did not want the baby. And when she was almost due, well, let's go back a little bit. He had asked her to get an abortion and was mad that she had not gotten the abortion. And what he ended up doing was punching her in the stomach, like not too much before it was time for her to actually deliver. And because of that, the baby actually was born a few days later. So he had already attacked her when she would not have the abortion that he wanted her to have. And they said that he claims now that a demon made him kill the boy. And we know that the devil can't make you do anything. She says, here's something that was kind of crazy to me. So after they made this arrest, she says, me and my son finally got our justice. No words can explain how grateful I am. This means so much to me. My son didn't get a chance to grow up with his family due to his father taking my son's life. Now, somebody say, well, what's the big deal about that? If you knew he did not want the baby, he had asked you to get an abortion and was upset that you did not get the abortion, then he punches you in the stomach when you are almost due, causing you to go into labor only a few days later, why would he have the baby for a month? And then you come back and say, me and my son finally got our justice. You pretty much gave the baby away. You killed the baby. I'm sorry. Maybe some of y'all think I'm a little too harsh. But yo, what else do you need? What other information do you need to find out he didn't want this baby? And you gave the baby to him for a whole month. He had the baby for an entire month. Wow. They say when they did the autopsy, they found out that the baby died from multiple injuries consistent with child abuse, including a brain bleed and blunt force trauma. And I remember when we first did the story, they said that the baby was black and blue all over its body. So for a month, what did you think was happening to this child? Yo, I don't know. I don't know. You need to go to jail too. I'm sorry. Wow. Wow. Tara says, I just hope the people they saved don't take their life for granted due to giving up theirs. Yeah. The sisters, right? Yeah. I hope that they value their lives, because the 2 lives, perished, not for theirs, but definitely for theirs. Yeah. And they still let him get the baby. Well, clearly, she must not have told them, Terrence, that this is what happened. Yo, I don't understand. Well, on a lighter note, we're talking about this traveling thing. And as of January, this is like really weird to me too, because earlier during the year, they pressed us to have these real IDs, these federal IDs, and they said that we would not be able to travel via air if we did not have the real IDs. Plain and simply put, we would not be able to travel. Well, they're saying starting next year that there will be a $45 fee to actually travel without this real ID. Now, they're expecting you to do some pre-verification before you get to the airport. So they want you to verify your identity through some biographic system, and you have to fill out some compliant form of identification, and you have to get a verification via email before you get to the TSA. And they have to check your identification, and they could still say no. Yeah, they can still say no. So you're still gambling as to whether you can even travel or not. And they said, now initially it was only supposed to cost you $18 if you did not have your real ID. Now, I didn't come across this information because, like I said, they told us that May of 2025 was our last opportunity to be able to travel with anything other than a federal identification from your DMV or a passport. So where this $45, $18 comes from, I don't know. But they upped the 18 to 45 because they're saying the machinery that will clear you for travel costs money. Costs money to do all of this checking, and you're going to pay for it. So the traveler is going to pay for it instead of the taxpayer. My thing is, you don't want to take the time to go get real ID, but you would travel. I'm sorry, that's not making any sense to me. You want to travel, but you won't go get the credentials that it would take to travel with. So here you are, you're going to run the risk of actually doing all of this pre-verification, paying the $45, and then you may not be able to travel anyway after TSA can turn you back. Nah, you're dumb. You're dumb. Just get the thing already. Call it a day. Stop gambling on this. Can I travel or not? Oh, what else? What else are we talking about? Oh, we got another update, y'all. Remember the chick back, when was it? Last year or 23? I think it was last year. I think it's no. Back in August of 2023. Remember there was a young lady who was pregnant, and she was accused of shoplifting out of that liquor store, or like stealing some liquor out of a store, out of a supermarket. You know, some places you go, you can actually buy alcohol in the supermarket. We can't really buy it here in New York, but you can in other places. Well, remember the story goes, someone said that she did some shoplifting, and she got in her car, and the police showed up and ended up shooting her through the windshield. Yeah, because when they asked her to stop the car, she would not stop the car. And they ended up actually confronting her up close. So, it was so close that one of the officers was able to put his hand on the car itself, and she would not stop. Yes, she released the brake, and she actually proceeded to drive and went to turn and actually put her head out the window and challenged them and said, what you gonna do, shoot me? Well, that's exactly what happened, unfortunately. And the officers didn't know she was pregnant, they said. And some said that they did, because that was a part of the report. So in other words, we got a pregnant black girl, a young woman stealing some alcohol out the supermarket. That's the way they claim it went across. Now, the officers claimed that because they saw her actually in the car, they had no idea that she was pregnant. So they said that the jurors, yes, this is going to trial, and the jurors were shown the body cam video on the first day. The trial took about 2 weeks, and heard the testimony, and they did not find the officers guilty. Nope. Now, the interesting part was the one who actually, I think the one who did the shooting he didn't testify. He only had like a written statement. And they weren't able to prove that he knew. They said that it was so bad that she lowered the window, challenged them, and said, "Are you going to shoot me?" While she was moving the car, he was being lifted up off of the ground. Yeah. And he fired the shot, and it hit her in the chest, and her nor the baby actually made it. So, I want to talk to my due time crew about this. They found him not guilty. This was a real challenging story to first go round. Real challenging story. Now, the end result was, they said that she supposedly didn't steal the alcohol that she was accused of, because They said when they got another witness's account, they said that she actually put the alcohol down right before she left the store. So she put the bottles down and then she left the store. So why? Then why? Then why? Then why? Then why? Then why? Why are we putting ourselves in this position of I'm innocent? Now, I guess I don't know what they said to her because they don't have in this account what they said to her. But they did say that they approached the car. Initially they were not up on the car, but somehow or another the car and the officer was connected. His left hand was on the hood of her car. That's when she rolled down the window and challenged them, asking whether they're going to shoot her. They said she then moved toward them and the vehicle hit his leg and shin and lifted his body up off the ground. Why are you doing all of this? Why? Whether you're innocent, whether you're guilty. Why you just don't stop the car, get out, or stay in? All right, so you don't want to, you afraid to get out? Fine. Put the car in park, turn the car off, and stay in the car and take care of whatever needs to be taken care of. Why are we doing this? So now you don't have a life. Your baby, unborn child doesn't have a life. She actually left an age 8 and 5 children, 2 young boys here. Why? Again, 21 years old. I don't know. Maybe it's me. We'll see. We don't. I don't think we have Pastor Brenda on today, but we do have Shantice and Pastor Vinny, and I'm sure Pastor Kale will be joining us. So I say, let's get to talking. Let's say good morning to Pastor Vinny. Good morning, Pastor Vinny.
Good morning, and good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Pastor Vinny. Missed you last week. How are you?
Oh, we're good. We missed you too. We hope you got some good rest and had a good time. And, sometimes you just need to get away.
Pastor Vinny, I tell you, rest. I was fine.
Very
I had
good.
anything to do. I did get a nice amount of rest. Thank you so much for asking. All right, Pastor Vinny, let's talk about some things.
Sure.
So we've got this couple who was clearly a couple at one point. I don't know if you were on the day we talked about this issue with this young man and this young woman, but we've got some new development, some new understanding. So the 23-year-old young man who's been arrested and charged with killing the 2-month-old baby, they say that when she got pregnant and made the announcement, he wanted her to get an abortion and she wouldn't. She then experienced some trauma of him punching her in the stomach, and she ended up delivering 2-3 days later. Why would you then give your child to him for a whole entire month and expect nothing to go on? I don't know, Pastor Vinny, call me crazy.
Not this time. Not this time, Pastor Steph. You're not crazy. Oh man, that guy would have to see that baby through a glass, through some bars, if at all. But to give that child up for a whole month, it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
It does not make any sense. He already, registered his displeasure. He already let her know that, look, I don't know part of this. So good, you would have no part of this.
Right.
And if anything, I'm gonna go to the court, do what I had to do to let the court handle your responsibility for this child. it's no, no, and for a whole month, and
Yep.
so he was evidently beating this poor child
Yep.
just up until the time that he knew he had to take the child back.
Right. 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 Right.
So
Right.
they said it was dead maybe 7 or 8 hours. You can't get any more heartless and cruel than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Pastor Vinny. We keep questioning, what is wrong here? What is connected to these women and their brain that you had the baby for an entire month? So clearly she gave him the baby for an entire month, because she never said that, he shouldn't have had the baby, but you got the baby back the way you arranged to get the baby back in a month.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And only to find out that the child had been beaten the entire time that this man had this child. Should not have been any shock to you when he
Right.
tried to hurt and kill you. He tried to kill a baby already, Pastor Vinny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He didn't hit her in the head. He hit her in the stomach.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So listen, and I don't know, how would you go a whole month without calling this dude and saying, how are things going? Because maybe she would have been able to detect some kind of anxiety in his voice. Oh, it's not going well. Let me go get my child.
Yeah. Some screw is loose, Pastor Vinny. Some screw is loose.
Both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Some screw is loose. Let's see what your girl Shantice has got to say. Let's say good morning to Shantice. Good morning, Shantice.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. I'm all right. So let's talk about this. He wanted her to get an abortion when she announced that she was pregnant. Punched her in the stomach to the degree that she ended up delivering a couple of days later. But yet you would let your baby go with him for an entire month.
This is what happens when you feel like I need a break. I need a break. There's no way you could tell me with such conviction to the point where you physically assault me to try to get rid of this baby, that you don't want this baby. I wouldn't even be taking you to court, because any and everything that would have to do with this baby would set you off. Child support would set you off. Any reminders that you have a kid out here would set you off. Wasn't it the baseball player that got the second woman pregnant? And she said to him, I don't want you to have anything to do with this kid. I'm financially stable. I'm good. I'm not taking you for no child support. We got me pregnant. I'm going to have this child. I'm going to take care of this child. I don't want you for nothing. And he still got her killed.
Yeah.
She literally said those words to him, and yet he still plotted and set her up and paid someone to kill her. The baby didn't die, but the baby was born with some, craziness going on. He has some type of condition, because I think she was like 7 or 8 months pregnant when he had her shot, something like that. And she said to the man, I don't want you for anything. Like, you can move to Mars and I wouldn't care. I'm fine. But he was so traumatized from the first woman that he got pregnant that I guess those words meant nothing to him. So you let it be known, and there's no way she didn't know something was off about him before she even got pregnant. There's no way we're in this relationship, or even if we're just sleeping together, and then I find it, and then I get pregnant, and then all of a sudden you just turn into this other person. No. There was some way, somehow he showed you that he was very unstable. That should have made you even question sleeping with him, let alone having a child. So now that you told him you're pregnant, and you probably didn't think he would punch you in the stomach, but you knew that he wouldn't be okay with this. This wasn't a part of his 5-year plan. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so no, I believe this had everything to do with I need a break. Oh, you know, this your child. So you go ahead. I agree with you too. And we kept emphasizing this when the story first hit everyone. There's no way my newborn is going anywhere with anyone for 10 minutes, 10 days, let alone a month. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. That's it's just I need a break. I need a break. And you figuring the other parents should be able to hold him down. He did.
Yeah. Unfortunately. So I think who you're talking about is the football player, Ray Caruth.
Ray Caruth, yes.
Yeah, and he's I think he was a football player.
Football.
Yeah.
I'm Rocky in baseball.
Yeah. It again, you know, you don't know what's going to set these people off. And that's the game you play. Terrence says she was calling to see how the baby was doing. Remember, the baby was dead for 8 hours. He had this planned out. Absolutely. Terrence says, but I do wonder, he may have had the baby for a month because she may have still been in the hospital. So her family should have taken the baby because she had complications. It doesn't even say. So we don't know whether. Okay, so let me just say this. If you punch me in the stomach and I end up with complications, you ain't gonna be the one that ends up with the baby.
Right.
If I have to tell it all and the baby don't even come home, you're not gonna end up with the baby. Because you're right, we don't know where she was, whatever, but clearly she didn't say what she needed to say. Because if she had told them that he punched her in the stomach, oh, he wouldn't have had no baby if she had to stay in the hospital. So, you know, what's going on? You know, Pastor Kale always talks about collecting those flags. Let's see what he has to say this go round. Good morning, Pastor KL.
Good morning, guys. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Doing well.
Good. All right, Pastor KL, you've heard the story. You may have been on, you know, in the first conversation we had a couple of weeks ago about this. You're talking about collecting those flags. And you have this big red one. This one, the siren is going off. He punches you in the stomach. Is that not a flag?
This flag could not have gotten more bigger than this. You know what I mean? Who was the one who made the flag? Was it Betsy Ross? This was a Betsy Ross flag.
Yes.
You know, this was her flag. I mean, you saw her crocheting this flag. First of all, let me say this: when a gentleman who's really not into you, you know, sleeps with you, he tells you right off the bat, you know, I don't want no kids. He may not protect himself, but he's gonna tell you he don't want no kids. You know, when a young man tells you, listen, get an abortion, or when he punches you in the stomach, this is not the guy who's going to grow to love his son. You know what I mean? How you say, well, maybe when he sees the child, he'll grow. No, you're not going to grow to love him because he specifically said, I do not want it. I don't want it.
Right.
So now that he's telling you to kill it, and you don't kill it, and now that he's trying to kill it by punching you in the stomach, now you think that he's going to be a great daycare sitter, you know, provider. I don't care how tired and how much of a break you need. That is not the person you turn to. He's telling you, I believe in homicide. He's telling you this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, he's told you he don't want children. By telling you he wants an abortion, by punching you in the stomach, he has told you this is not the will of God for my life. I don't want kids. And because you're tired now, you're going to, and this is what it is, you're going to make me watch someone I don't want to watch?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can imagine the conversation. You're coming to get this boy. He your boy too, or he your child too. You're going to come take this child. And that's just fuel for more fire. Well, okay, I'll come get him. I told you I didn't want him. So now no one has to come get him again.
Yeah. Yep. And actually, those were my sentiments exactly. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, oh, okay. He told you, he asked you to have an abortion, you wouldn't. All right. He punched you in the stomach. Now you think that now because this baby has arrived, that there's going to be some change of heart to the degree where you leave him for an entire month. You can't check on him and ask him how he's doing and he can answer back. Everything is at the will of the Father.
Mhm.
And here you are. What are you doing for an entire month that you leave this child with him and you think it's gonna be fine when you get this baby back? Now, I'm not saying you would have thought you would have had the baby propped up in the stroller dead, but nah, there's no way in the world you really thought this was gonna be something different. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it. There's no way in the world. No way in the world. Makes no sense to me either. No. Listen, if you insist on having your baby after this person has told you he's not interested, then take your baby and leave.
Yeah.
Go about your business. Forget this child. I'm with Shantice. Forget the child support and everything. Walk off. Sorry. Walk
He
off.
picked up on attempted murder when he punched her in the stomach.
Right.
Right. She was used to this. She was used to him being abusive to some degree, to the point where you punching me in my stomach alone, let alone me being pregnant when you do it.
Right.
And now you punch me in my stomach while I'm pregnant and I don't report you?
Right.
Something wrong with her.
And then I give you the baby.
Right.
But I often say to some of these women, a piece of man is better than no man at all.
Wow.
I just need a piece of man, and that's exactly what you got. And you know what? You didn't even get a piece of a man.
I was just getting ready to
there was no man in him at all, not even a piece.
Yep. He's a kid. He's a 23-year-old kid. He's 23, but who knows where he is mentally? Who knows where he is mentally?
He's where a 23-year-old should be.
Right.
What do you know? At 20, at 23, you know, you don't have it all together.
Right. You're a stupid kid. You're doing stupid things.
Oh, yeah.
Dumb. All right. Let's talk about this here. This other situation of this 21-year-old young lady who was pregnant, accused of shoplifting some alcohol. So she gets in her car. They stop her. 2 officers stop her. He puts his hand on the hood. He then draws his gun when you would not stop the car. You roll the window down and say, what are you going to do? Shoot me? You proceed to move the car, pressing on his legs, his shins, and lifting him up off the ground. He shoots you. He fires, shoots you in the chest. You end up dying, and your unborn child end up dying as well. Now, they made the accusation that he knew that she was pregnant when this took place, and they ended up acquitting him because they said he did not know she was pregnant. Help me understand why we looking for justice. I don't know. I don't know what kind of justice we looking for when you didn't stop. I'm just trying to understand the psyche here. What did we think was going to happen in a climate such as this? Pastor Vinny, help me understand what's happening here.
Yeah. Did they say where this took place?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see. Ohio.
XXX. Listen, if I was pregnant in a car and this skinhead cop pulled up on me and pulled out his gun, I would take, like you said, I would take my foot, put my foot on the gas, turn the car off, throw the keys up on the dash, put my hands up on the ceiling, and say, "You got it," because they looking to kill you. They don't care, and that's a pretty young lady. That makes it so sad. You just committed suicide by cop. You just committed suicide by cop. No, he don't have any right to do whatever, but he got the badge, he got the gun. The next steps are automatic. You don't give up, you don't stop, you're dead. They don't care. Listen, they do not care. They have the power. You're not yielding to their power. You said just say goodbye to your life.
Okay. Pastor KL, was this an outright challenge when he asked you to stop the car? He's already at arm's distance. You're within the city. You're in that space. While he was standing in front of the car, you roll the window down and ask, "What are you going to do? Shoot me?"
Listen, sometimes you got to give the people what they want. You know, I'm listening to what Pastor Vinny is saying about, yeah, they want to shoot us, but this woman kept on driving. She didn't stop. So I mean, your life or my life. I'm out here just trying to do my job. You know what I mean? I don't know that you're pregnant, and I hate to say this, but even if you're pregnant, you don't care enough about your own child by playing this game right here. So I'm going to let you run me over to save your child. So I'm going to let you kill me. So to save a child that you don't even care about. No, I'm sorry. I think he was justified. You know, I hate to say that, but I think he was justified. I'm just not going to let you run me over. That's a vehicle. That's not, you're not running me over with a bike and I might get a tire mark. That's a whole vehicle.
All right. Shantice, what say you?
So she kept the car going forward, and that's how I was able to press up against him. I think they were both stupid. I think there's stupidity on both sides. For one, the way they train these cops, they train them to immediately draw their weapon, and then they're trained, once I draw my weapon, I have to use it. Mm-hmm. So already a lot of these cops are itching to draw the weapon, and they love the fact that once it's out, I have to use it. You being stupid, challenging them. If you didn't steal anything, of course, I don't want to see no cops at my car. If I did steal anything, I don't want to see no cops at my car. But again, everyone down to the newborn knows what it is for us to be approached by a cop, whether we're on foot, in a vehicle, whatever. You challenging the cop, you as the cop, because one of the first thing that came to mind was, okay, so once she started moving the car a little bit, why you didn't shoot at the tire? You can't go nowhere.
He was already up on the car.
So he asked her before she started moving the car to get out the car. Or
he asked her to stop.
So before he got up on the car, he asked her to stop.
This wasn't the first request that she stopped the car.
Right. Okay, but I'm trying to. I'm a cop.
Visualize it.
You start moving. I ask you to stop. and I'm going to put my body in the way of the car.
So you walk up on the car. I ask you to stop the car. Initially, the car was stopped. When they walked up on the car, now he's at arm's distance. He has it. They said the description is he has his left hand on the car, on the hood of the car, and that's when she asks him. She rolls the window down.
Right, like a dummy. Right.
What are you gonna do? Shoot me?
Shoot me. Right.
And then she lifts her foot up off the brake and moves the car.
It moves the car so that now it's pressing up against him. Okay. So you're moving the car. I asked you to stop. You finally stop. I walk in the direction, so the car is here. Instead of me walking up to your window, I walk to the front of the car. Why? I've never typically heard of that, whether it's a traffic stop or anything. When they walk up to you in a car, they walk up to the driver or the passenger side, not to stand in the front of the car. I already have to keep telling you to stop driving. So why am I now going to put myself in the way of you driving? You stupid, challenging the cop. Why didn't you, as the cop, go to either side? You got that close, you see she's the only one in the car, because I haven't heard that there were other people in the car. To now try to get her out, she finally stopped. Why not try to now get her up out the car? Why would you now go? That's what I'm saying. In my opinion, neither one of them handled it right. And she was extra stupid for challenging. Because again, they're itching to do this.
Okay, so let me read Terrence's response, because he's where you are. If the car was stopped and he walked up on the car, he should be on the side of the car. He should have never went in front of the car to get it if he's not a barricade. Okay, so he's agreeing. That's a whole fact, Shantice. He wanted a reason to shoot her. I'm sorry, I disagree.
That made no sense.
What is this here? Call me crazy. They ask you to stop. I don't care if he's walking up on the front of the car, back of the car, side of the car. He asked you to stop. You then you roll the window down to offer a challenge. What are you going to do? Shoot me? I'm sorry. It makes me personally no difference if he walked up on the side of the car or in the front of the car. You were asked to stop. Why didn't you just stop? Why do I now have to worry about if I walk up on the side of the car, back of the car, front of the car, this side of the car? You were asked to stop.
I agree.
But no, you don't agree, because here's the thing you keep saying, that both of them were stupid.
Right, I agree. She was stupid, and I don't agree. No. I don't agree with that cop's tactic. I agree with everything you just said about her.
But he asked you to stop. He simply asked you to stop. Why not just stop? In this climate, well, first of all, forget about the climate. Let me just erase that. Here we are. I'm in a car and you ask me to stop. Now, if I haven't done anything, why am I not stopping? If I've done something, why am I not stopping? But if you've done something, your mind might be saying, I need to get away. I'm going to take my chances, because we see it happen all the time. But if you haven't done anything, what are you trying to prove? So I'm in a complete agreement with Pastor KL. You didn't care nothing about your life. You didn't care nothing about your unborn life, because you put an open challenge out there. Personally, I don't think he should have been acquitted either. I'm not caring about no tactic and all of this kind of stuff. He asked her to stop, and that's where it should have ended. He walked up on the car. It was two of them. It was the two cops. He drew his weapon, shot through the windshield. And here's my thing. You know what? You keep pushing a car up on anybody, you get what you get. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm not believing that this officer was at any fault. I'm sorry. I don't agree. I don't agree. I think it was stupid. It was a stupid move on her part to put the challenge out there. Anytime you took the time to roll the window down, you didn't roll the window down and ask, well, sir, why are you stopping me? You didn't even ask that. No, you're gonna put the challenge out there. What you gonna do? Shoot me? Well, guess what? She got her answer, didn't
Right. You got shot.
no. So Terrence claims it could have been her adrenaline. She was pissed off because they assumed she was telling when she haven't done. In other words, when she hadn't done anything and they were cops. Tamika said she pulled the Harlem Nights. You gonna shoot me in my pinky toe? When you say something like that, you make the receiver respond. I think it was a stupid move. I think he should have been acquitted. You rolled the dice and you crapped out.
You lost.
Period. I don't see anything that the cop did. I'm sorry. I don't care whether we're in a climate where they're shooting people, but especially with the fact that we're in a climate where we're open target. Yo, just don't do anything that's going to antagonize the situation. So you know what? She probably was trying to steal alcohol. I don't put nothing past her now. Sorry. I ain't buying that. Anybody else got something to say about this before we close this down and move on to our next topic?
It's tight. That is right.
It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. So you got 2 lives. You got 3 lives. You got the young girl and the baby that died, and you got this cop that had this belt that he had to shoot her in order to get her to comply. Now I don't know if
That's right.
he might have a conscience. I don't know if he's one of those guys that put another notch on his gun or whatever. But here you are. You took a life that was unnecessary. You took 2 lives that was unnecessary.
You know what, Pastor Vinny? I'm sorry. I just can't phrase it like that. I can't phrase you took a life. I'm sorry. My brain, it can't go there right now. Not when they say you pushed the car, pressing against his leg, his shin, he being lifted up off the ground. No, I'm sorry. I can't even get into that terminology of, well, you took a life. Because who's to say she would have stopped the car? Who's to say she would have stopped the car and would not have run him over? Can we say that?
No.
Yeah.
But I sure wouldn't have put myself in harm's way like that.
No, I wouldn't have either.
You know,
but if I'm walking up on a car, and you start moving the car, then I'm caught there.
Yeah.
That's where I'm caught.
Make no sense.
That's where I'm caught. So I put myself in harm's way. How? Help me with this.
Because I already see that's like me watching you swing your arms. And I'm like, stop swinging your arms. You keep swinging your arms in front of you. And I'm like, put your arms down, stop swinging your arms. But then I come and stand in front of you and then you keep swinging your arms. I already had a problem telling you to stop. So now I get mad when I step in front of you and you slap me. Come on. It's like, come on. No.
Okay, well, let me ask a question to that same example.
Diffuse the situation. Because nobody is going to be okay with getting hit, slapped, or anything. If my job is to diffuse the situation, I'm not going to now put myself there. I'm here to now make it to where, so that means I got to get behind you to handcuff you, on the side of you to handcuff you. But if you sitting here doing this, and I got to tell you 2-3 times to stop, and then you finally stop, and I'm going to come and stand in front of you and then get surprised when you start doing this again?
But
But then
hold
let
on,
me let me
but
let
that's
me
an
ask you a question,
hold on,
Shanti.
Pastor K. Hold on, Pastor K. So that's an assumption that he walked up to the car and stopped.
That's why I kept asking you to give me to give the rundown. So she was moving. He asked whatever amount of times to stop. She finally stopped. And then when he approached the car, he approached it in the direction that she was going. So she was going forward. And then she finally stopped. He came and stopped here instead of approaching on the driver or passenger side. That was my question.
And I answered.
It was yes, right?
Yes.
So then my feeling stays the same.
Right, go ahead, Pastor K.
So let me ask you a question, Shantice. Let's look at it from you and Mariah. You have authority. You are the authoritarian figure. If Mariah is going back and forth with her hand, you as the authority are going to choose to go another direction after you told her to stop, because in fear that Mariah might hit you, the authoritarian figure.
With me telling Mariah to stop, after I've had to keep telling her to stop, and now I stand in front of her, that's a level of me challenging her. So as the adult, you better not hit me, but am I really going to be that surprised when you hit me when I had to keep telling you? Because already I'm mad that I had to keep telling you to stop. So now I'm going to stand in front of you and get up in your face. And then when you start swinging again, how startled can I really be?
If I tell my child to stop swinging your hand, I gotta go around the back and the side of him or her to convince her. Are you out of your mind? If that child continues to come for me, I'm gonna come for the child.
But it's not about convincing anymore, because as the child, I should only have to tell you once, if I even have to tell you that one time. But now right. So now that I have to keep telling you, I'm already mad that I have to keep telling you. So now with me as the adult standing in your face, yes, I'm challenging you. I don't care what nobody says. I now come and I have to keep telling you to stop. You finally stop. I'm gonna step in your face because I'm challenging you. Because I have to keep telling you to stop.
All right. Wait, let me read Terence's, because this must be a millennial thing. And I can only see this must be the way the room was in the juror's room. I can only imagine this must have been what was going on when the jurors were in the room deliberating. Okay, Terrence says it's even worse shooting, because if you kill someone in a car, what if a foot hit the gas and hit multiple cars because she died and it shot her while she was moving a car? Yeah, but how? Listen, I'm with Pastor K 100%. I'm not. I'm okay. So if I'm already in front of the car, if I'm already positioned in front of the car, and I'm walking toward the car, and I ask you to stop, and you finally stop, I'm sorry, I'm not taking 9 steps out to now swing and come back in. I should be free to walk in the direction of the car without the assumption that you are now going to put your foot on the gas and hit me. Now, I'm sorry if that no longer becomes a reasonable assumption. Now, I may have had to ask you to stop 5, 6 times, but when you finally stop, my belief and understanding is that you stopped for good. I'm not assuming, as like you said, like Pastor KL said, I'm not assuming as an authority figure that now you're gonna get bold and brazen where you're gonna pull this car off and hit me. Now you opted to do it, and now you got what you got. Now my biggest regret is the fact that there's no lesson learned here, because she's dead. So she can't learn that a mouth got her killed. Her action got her killed. But I think to say that he shouldn't have been walking up to the front of the car, and he put himself in the line of danger by walking in front of the car. He's walking toward the car. I'm not even thinking that I should walk around I got to make sure I go 9 steps east to come back around west. And no, I'm sorry. She was in the wrong. She was asked to stop the car by an officer. Your only response is to stop the car, especially if you claim you innocent. There is no reason why you don't stop the car, and there's no reason why you gonna ask, is he gonna shoot you? I would really love to have asked her, what did you think was gonna happen when you asked that question? You thought he was going to not shoot you after you? Because a moving car is now a weapon. It's a weapon. It's a loaded weapon. It was no less loaded than his gun. So at this particular point, it's either me run you over or me shoot you. And unfortunately, you got shot before you got a chance to finish running me over. Because if he started moving that car and it started lifting him up, she was already running him over. So now he just completed his side. But I don't think in any way that he was wrong and he did anything wrong. I asked you to stop. I did my job and you didn't do yours. Plain simple as that. Terrence said, and if he did follow her out of the store, he would have seen she was pregnant. 1, 2, he would have known she didn't have no liquor in her hand. It's the story. I'm 42 years of living. I never saw a cop go to the front of a car, always coming from the back side, never the front of the car. If they come in the front of the car, they move to the side of the car. And I agree. I haven't seen it either. But to say that it's his fault because he did, no, I'm sorry. I don't agree with it personally. Tamika said it's clear that she had no respect for authority when she challenged them. I wonder would she still have shot her if he was on the side of the car?
No, because she wouldn't have been able to hit him. Either way, he kept asking. The main thing should have been, let me make sure I get her up out this car, not step in front of the car. So the car was used as a weapon. You need to get her up out the car because she could have had a weapon in there. She could have had anything in there. And I agree, Pastor Steph. I wish you would have lived too, so that question could have been answered. So you kept challenging for what now? What now?
I don't think she would have even gotten out of the car.
They would. I believe that too. I believe they would have had to like really forcefully get her out the car. If I have to keep telling you to stop the car, you're not going to willingly come out the car.
Yeah, this is just a problem that was going to be bad from the beginning. From the very beginning, that no matter what they did with this girl, it was not going to end well. Mm-hmm. She stopped the car and they asked her to get out. She wasn't getting out. She was not going to get out. They would have had to force her out. Then that would have been another issue. So, Terrence, you mentioned the fact that, if he saw her walking from the store, he would have known she was pregnant. You're right. But that's not when they arrived. They didn't arrive till she was already in the car. So right. That's the other side of it. You, as the pregnant person, you have the first responsibility of protecting you and your child. That you have the first responsibility. Okay, Terry says, I like to still know where did the cop come from? Was he in the store and saw her walk out, or did she pull a car because this car should have blocked her? That's what I'm saying. By the time they arrived on the scene, she was already in the car, I believe. I don't think that they saw her like get in the car and they let her in the car and then they tried to stop the car or whatever situation it is. So I don't know. Here's my thing, and we can finish because we're not going to have a time to get to our topic clearly. But here's my thing, and this is something that I always have a problem in, and there are a lot of people that don't agree. And I would love to hear your view. My thing is, we're already dealing with a lit firecracker. We have the cops that are saying, I'm just trying to make it home. And, you couldn't pay me to be a cop these days. You could not pay me because everybody right now, Everybody's scared. You know, they don't want to admit they never gonna use the words, but they scared. They scared. They scared for their life because the people out here are crazy. We have seen they are crazy. They are just as crazy. Some of them are just as crazy as the perpetrator. Here's my thing. Why do we put ourselves in a position like this where I already know that this could go bad because we're already a target, possibly by these particular police officers who have now landed on the scene? Why do we not stay out of harm's way? That's my question. I want to talk about the cops first. I'm asking the question because that's my argument. Stop. Because see, right now, my question is, I believe she was trying to steal something. Because see, you have already shown a direct rejection of any level of authority. So if you won't stop the cop to stop your car for the cops, and then you challenge them, are you going to shoot me? Then them people telling you in the store anything, you're going to war against them as well. So unfortunately for Stephanie, this puts into question anything that happened before. That she could have been completely innocent, where she didn't touch a thing or whatever. But the account that they got afterwards was that before she left the store, she actually did put the bottles down and then she left the store. So my question is, how we even get that far? So now this just, again, this is for me, this puts everything into question as to what were you doing? Why was there attention on you? So forth and so on. But now we're outside. And for some reason, we have people that just won't seem to stay out of harm's way. What seems to be the problem? Pastor Vinny, I'll start with you.
You would. I love you, Pastor Steph. Yeah, I don't know. This young lady, I guess she had a lot on her plate, a lot on her mind, because she wasn't paying no attention to these cops. I mean, when bad enough that they surrounded your car, or when they pull out that gun, they have made your decision for you. Either you're going to stop or they're going to stop you. Either they're going to stop, you're going to stop, or they're going to stop you. I mean, that's it. You don't have any other choices. And however they do it, they're going to do it because they know that the law or the judicial system is on their side. You know, whether you believe it or not, I think it's rigged towards the cops. It's rigged because they have the authority. And if we don't pay attention to that authority, we become a casualty. And like you said, Pat, if she had just stopped, if she had just followed their command, we would not be talking about this. If there was nothing, if they found nothing in her car, nothing on her person, except a little unborn baby, they probably would have let her go on about her way.
Okay. Shantice.
The challenging. Unfortunately, we keep talking about the climate we're in. We're also in a climate where everyone wants to challenge everyone. I have the ability to do this, so I'm going to challenge you. I don't feel like I should have to do this, so I'm going to challenge you. I ain't do nothing, so I'm going to challenge you. And instead of just, it reminds me of a situation that Pastor, what's his name, Philip Anthony Mitchell, he said when he was still living in Queens, he remembers walking down the block and cops was driving in the opposite direction. and him and one of the cops in the car made eye contact. He's grilling the cop is grilling him. And before he knew it, the cops doubled back, got out the car, and just slammed him up against the wall. Why? Because they could. And he said that quick, what his mother said came to mind. And he had a choice to make. He said, do I stand up and challenge this cop and possibly lose my life? Or do I just fall back and let this cop think he has it and I can walk away with my life? And he said, I decided to listen and remember what my mother said. And he could have, because my thing is, whether we grilling each other or not, why are you feel compelled to now get up out the car and slam me up against the wall? You didn't catch me stealing anything. You didn't catch me hitting nobody, whatever the case may be. So at face value, the cop was in the wrong. But understanding that I don't have to challenge you in order to now get up out of this. Do I want to be right or do I want to live? Like which, and unfortunately right now, that's the dilemma that everyone is in. Do I want to be right or do I want to keep my life? And unfortunately for her, it's like, oh, you know, yeah, she must have stolen it. But people are so stupid out here now. They could be 100% innocent and yet be 100% ignorant. And it's like, why? If you didn't do anything, then just let it be known you didn't do anything. Let them do their due diligence, whatever quick investigating they have to do, speak to whomever. As Pastor Vinny said, let them check the car. If there's nothing there. And if you felt like they did something out of turn, then go report them and keep, pressing it until something is actually done. But because everyone is in this challenging mode, you'd rather have been right than to keep your life. So now you're right and dead, proving nothing.
Okay. Terrence says, now that's even worse because you pulled up when she was in her car while her car did not block. In other words, he's saying their car could have blocked her car. All right. And we've seen that stop who? How many people has that ever stopped? All of this should have never happened because the cops do not know the lady's face. Someone had to point her out saying that's her, even though there was a witness saying she never stole. The witness that said she never stole, that didn't come up until later. That was after. But possibly, had she gotten out of the car, that could have come up then. Now, that witness didn't show up. That account didn't show up until later. But because you didn't let the people do their due diligence, it now comes up after your death. Pastor KL, we've seen where people have done something and we've seen where people haven't done anything. Why are we in this space where it's like if we just stay out of trouble, then we could diffuse a lot of stuff on our side, from our side.
Let me go here. Because most of you, everybody know I've been in retail for over 40 years. So this young lady started the climate. This young lady went to work. Now understand this. From everything I'm hearing, she's a shoplifter. She couldn't get away with what she wanted to get away with. But she's a shoplifter. She went to work to do her job. She left without the product. So she was the one who challenged because she knows she didn't get caught this time. And she says, what you gonna do now? Shoot me? But she started this whole climate. I'm not a police lover, so please let's not get that. I keep hearing, we get shot. Let's look at the other side to it. We keep on hiring these 19 and 20 and 21-year-old officers who are scared. They have no real training at all. They just be put out there. And now it's your life or my life. So to me, listen, if a cop stops me and I'm old, my hand is up. It's like I'm praising God with my hands lifted up and my mouth filled with praise. Whatever you want, officer. Whatever you want. I'm too old to run. You know what I mean? And if I get shot, I'm going to die. So, and I know I got a license. Most folks don't have no license. They drive, but I know I got a license. I know I got insurance. I know I'm clear. But baby, I ain't arguing with you. What you want? I tell you my blood type. I tell you my mother's maiden name. Whatever you need, so I can just keep on going. Shanti said, "Do you want to be, right, or do you want to live? Do you want to be right, or do you want to die right now?
Mm-hmm.
Which is it? I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you everything you want because they're just looking for a reason. Especially if you have that scared cop. Depending on your demeanor, I'm a big guy. So if little Opie pulled me over, he already trigger happy because he
Mm-hmm.
don't know what I'm gonna do. No,
Mm-hmm.
Opie, whatever you want, Paul. I'm gonna give you what you want. But we gotta be wrong and strong. There's a whole lot of people laying down being wrong and strong.
Here's the thing, and as I'm listening, it seems as though, and this is for me. This is for me. It may not be for everybody. It's an assumption that all cops are bad. That
Right.
every cop has this ultimate goal of being wrong, wicked, doing what he wants to do, throwing his or her weight around. And I don't think this is fair. This what I'm hearing today, I don't think it's fair. And this is, again, this is just what I'm hearing and how I'm taking it. There's this, oh well, this is what they do, and we should know better. Because we didn't know. What is wrong with compliance? I'm having a difficult time because I don't think I'm hearing enough of that. What's wrong with simple compliance? Here, I didn't heard he didn't walk up on the wrong side of the car. He should have walked up on the side opposed to the front. What does that have to do with what she did? What does that have to do with what she did? I'm losing something here. And that's it's this automatic. It sounds as though there's this automatic, the cops are wrong and we need to find out they're wrong before we do right. And I'm not hearing compliance. Now, Terrence is challenging, how do we know she's a shoplifter? Pastor KL said what I'm thinking, and I've kind of alluded to it as well. Here, my thing is, at the end of the day, there was someone who said when she left, okay, so someone initially thought she was shoplifting. We don't know if the person who worked in the store was black or white. We have no idea of this. But what we do hear later is someone said that, well, when she left out the store, she actually put the bottle down at the door. Why? Why?
Terrence, let me tell you this, Terrence. I've been in this game over 40 years. I promise you, I know a shoplifter. There's shoplifters who carry themselves a certain way, and even the clean collar ones that come in there with ties. You know a shoplifter. You know what they look. They look at you more than you look at them. You know what I mean? Their mannerism is totally different than a regular shopper. There is a lot of traits of a shoplifter, and it don't have to be one of the bums. One of the ones who look like they homeless. No, some of these shoplifters look better than you and I. So yeah, you can tell a shoplifter, Terrence, if you've been in this game long enough.
What I'm hearing is suspect. I'm looking at from start to finish. I didn't see any of this. But based on what I'm hearing, why, if you're in the store, why all of a sudden you leave the store and the bottle gets left at the door? Is that where you found the bottle? Now, we all know that we all have, at one point or another, we may have picked something up, and then before we leave, we decide we're going to put it down. We change our mind. Now, is this, I changed my mind because you accused me, so I ended up leaving the bottle at the door because now you're going to turn me off, and I don't want to buy anything now, because that happens as well. Sometimes we get turned off and we just throw our hands up and say, forget it. So could that have been it? Possibly. But now we go outside. However You are targeted. So the question also comes in, well, how did they know it was her? Well, guess what? It was her. See, I'm just not hearing some things here. How we know it was her? How did they know it was her? Well, guess what? They didn't get it wrong. So clearly, whatever the description was correct. So here we are, we're behind the wheel, and someone asks us to stop. We have come, it's something about this level of generation that there is more battle than there is compliance. There's war more than there is compliance. And I'll give you a really quick story. So yesterday Sunday we got in, and there were dishes in the sink from my daughter's Friendsgiving on Wednesday. I got home on Sunday. So yesterday, which was Monday, I had a headache all day. I go back to the sink. I come back inside. She home. I can see she's home because of what her light is on. I can see she's heating up food. Now, so is the rest of the house. With all her dishes in the sink from Wednesday. So when she comes down, I'm in the middle of a conversation and I'm annoyed because nobody could get to the sink because all the dishes are in the sink. So I don't say hello because I'm mad, because I got a headache. I said, hey, what's going on with all of this in the sink? Well, and had an attitude. Oh, well, I didn't get rid of it, or blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, just, all you had to do was watch that. Oh, no, I should have thrown it out. I said, no, that's not the answer. We could use what's in the sink. It was just like pans. And everybody knows how I am about pans. And I go, why would you just throw the pans out opposed to wash it? Because nobody could get to the sink because you've got the pans still here. Well, I should have just thrown them out. Never an apology, nothing. Instantaneously, there's this defense of, well, I should have just thrown them out. No, you should have I don't care whether you threw them out or whether you washed them, gave them away to the man across the street, give them away to the man who collects bottles. I don't care what you do. When we got here, she said, I should have. I said, listen, when I got here yesterday, they were here. So you've been here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all of this. So she has the attitude. It's something about having a defense opposed to just being compliant. And that's where we are these days. Everybody else is wrong because we can't be compliant. And that's all I'm hearing. Oh, well, the cops. What does that have to do with our job? That's my question. And all I keep hearing is, well, the cops didn't walk up on the car the right way. The cops, they trigger happy. The cops are this, the cops are that. When all we have to do is simply stay out of harm's way, and we don't have to worry about it. So yesterday, she has an attitude because she says, well, you could have said hello. I said, no, I didn't have to say hello. No, because I'm mad. I'm mad that I'm standing here with a headache. I've seen these things from yesterday. They've been here since Wednesday, but I should say hello. No, you know how I am. Stay out of harm's way, get rid of the stuff. But it's not that. It's not that these days. It's the opposite side. And that's our church folk dilemma. Why can't we just comply? We'd rather walk up and find the harm than to just comply. That's where we are. That's where we are. So whether she was ultimately shoplifting or not, whether she was innocent or guilty, she made herself guilty by virtue of what she did or what she didn't do, whichever way you want to look at it. So I'm open for a closing statement from everybody. Shantice, I'll start with you.
Everyone needs to stop challenging everyone. Everyone needs to comply with what they need to be doing and stop wanting to have the upper hand, because that's all I'm hearing in this situation specifically, and that's all I'm seeing in life as well. Whether I'm right or wrong, I need to have the upper hand. I need to be right. I need to make it seem like I'm right. If everyone just does protocol and what they're supposed to do, there'll be a whole lot less drama in the world. So do what you know you're supposed to do. Focus on making sure you're right with God instead of trying to be right with man. And that's how you stay out of harm's way. That's like the real foolproof way of staying out of harm's way. Am I right with God? Despite how I feel, despite where my head goes, despite what I want to prove, is he approving my decisions and my movements right now?
All righty. Amen. Thank you. Pastor Vinny.
Yeah.
How we closing?
As Steph, my only issue is that after you've done everything right, after you turn off the car, you put your hands up, and you still get shot. That's what I'm saying. It's not that I'm against compliance. I don't know if you felt that I was against.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But I think that's what. I guess even the media has a part in it as well, because it seems like we always see the worst of it, and we don't really get the real details. But if we take care of our personal space, and we take care of our personal responsibility, we do everything that we can to be in compliance, to be in obedience, then everything should be okay. But unfortunately, even with all of that, there are still some instances where we become the fatality. And that's what I tell my sons. I said, listen, stay out of their way. You do what you have to do.
Yep.
You know what's right and what's wrong. So if at anything at all, you are doing the right thing. I don't care, I tell you, you don't ride with everybody. Everybody doesn't get in your car.
Right.
As long as we're doing what we need to do, we should be okay.
All right. Amen. No, I didn't think you were against being compliant. For the record. No, not at all. Not at all. Not my Pastor Vinny. Never. Never.
That's a good record.
Never. That's right. Thank you. Pastor KL, how we closing this thing?
We first have to remember that we can control our environment. We can control of what's positive and what's negative. There can't be a one-sided argument. If you stop speaking, that person begins to argue with themselves. The Bible says, obey those who have ruling over you. You just have to be in a position where you can obey authority. God will never leave you nor forsake you, be with you even until the end. So God is going to protect you. My mama used to always tell me that when you do right, right will follow you. It will follow you all the time. But the time you do wrong, listen, it's easy to do right. It's hard to get out of trouble. You make one mistake, it's hard to recover from that.
Yes.
But when you stay right, you always right. And God is going to always take care of you and protect you when you're right. So again, we control our atmosphere in the morning, our atmosphere in the afternoon, our atmosphere in the evening. We control all of that, on the way we position ourselves, on the way our posture is, and the way that our vocabulary is. We control it. The more wood you put on a fire, the hotter it gets.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my due time crew. Always a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for your contribution. And we pray that you have a blessed day.
You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's get rid of some of these comments. This is us and Terrence today. So I guess we forgot the point that she's pregnant, so you think she's going to drink liquor. Okay, so here's my question to you, Terrence. So she had the liquor in her hand. They said she put the bottle down before she left the store. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I can tell you so many times I went to Home Depot, walked to the door, put my items down because I left my wallet in the car, came back into the store and bought my items. Okay. And I left it at the front door. Okay. Okay. And that, like I said, it could have been, that's why I said she may have gotten frustrated and just said, you know what, forget it. I ain't buying nothing. How many times I spent hours shopping in a store and then I leave the items there and get mad and walk out the door because I'm not standing on this long line for these couple little things that I have. So yes, definitely. However, we shift the atmosphere when we don't do certain things afterwards. Puts things into question. Okay. He says, I'm going to say that I'm on your side, Shantice. So today is not Pastor KL. Today it is Shantice's turn. We're already down 2 points because we're black. That's all I'm going to say. All right. So let me wrap this thing up here with all of these comments that Terrence has pointed out and that the panel, our two-time viewers pointed out. We are already, and I agree 100%, Terrence, and for all of you who have said it, thought it, we already messed up. Because we are the enemy. Just from the color of our skin with certain people. I'm not talking about only with authority. I'm talking about just people. It's us, we ghetto, we don't mean nothing, we are not about anything, we're not as educated. Yes, this is very, very common of a thought, regardless of whether you are in authority or not. We are on the negative side in this world. So my question becomes, if you already know that we are already at this stage in this world, then why are we making things harder for ourselves? Pastor Vinny has told his sons the same thing I've told my girls and my granddaughter. Listen, there's no way God don't have your back at the end of the day. Have we seen in these past several years, people have been very innocent and been murdered? Yes, we have. And we don't know why God has allowed this, but we're going to take it that it's for the greater good. It is for the greater good that God is going to work something through that thing. Will any of us be the casualties? I don't know. I'm still here. Are we already casualties? Ooh, another question that we have to think about. We may not be casualties in the grave. We may be casualties even walking around. We have a lot of people that are enduring things and they're still here. So my question then again becomes, why do we aggravate the situation? Because even when we don't do things, we're a target. So if I already know I'm a target, then the smartest thing for me to do is to ensure that I don't do anything to aggravate the situation. I am not ever going to say that we are always guilty, because I know better. I'm almost 60 years old. I know better. I have seen a lot in these 60 years. I have seen things change. I mean, just turn. We're talking to Shantice, we're talking to Terrence. These are millennials. We've got 20 years over them pretty much. So that's another 20 years of what we've seen, experienced, heard about. So we've seen how things have changed. And I'm telling you, it has never been this like this before. So what we need to do is to help us. Help yourself. The word of God says it is better to obey than sacrifice. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Right now, everybody's sacrificing. That's what I mean when I say the compliant part. Just do what we need to do. So whether she forgot her stuff, and like Terrence said, you know, he walked out, left the stuff at the door, went to get this wallet and came back. If that's all it was, and that's all it was. And nothing wrong with that. What my point is, how do you fuel the look that you're guilty when you get outside and now you become what you said you weren't 5 seconds ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 hours ago? Then, as Pastor KL said, just keep it going. I'm not going to shift the narrative because I'm pissed off with you. I'm going to stand my ground and I'm going to do what I need to do. And I'm going to make sure that I am still right. And that's what we lose after a while. We lose the fact that we're right because we're trying to make a point. And that's what it was here. She was trying to make a point. I don't know what the point was. And I guess the point was, oh, they ain't going to shoot me. Whether she was pregnant or not. You black. And for certain cops, you're the target. You already did something. You could be as innocent as the day is long. Years ago, quite a few years ago, it has to be easily 20 years ago, a friend of mine was in a car. He and I was in the car. I was driving. He was in passenger seat. And we were in Harlem. And for some reason, I don't know if I was driving my truck or a van or minivan. But we were, whoop. And I pulled over, and 2 white cops, 1 female, 1 male, they both flanked the car, and they were like, well, can we see your credentials? And I'm like, I didn't run no light, because we were in between 2 lights. You know, in Harlem, the streets are pretty long. We were in between 2 lights, and I'm like, well, what in the world? So he and I just look at each other, because we're like, what in the world? So they take my credentials. They go back and they check it and come back, and she just hands me my license, registration, insurance, and she says, you can go. Now, if it were today, in this generation, it would have been about, well, why you stop me? And oh, you just gonna give it back to me? You're not even gonna tell me why you stopped me? I didn't care. I did not care. I took my credentials. I didn't even say thank you. I took my credentials. I handed them back over to my friend who was in the passenger side. We put my stuff back in the glove compartment, and I pulled off, and we went home and we talked. And it's funny because he just brought that up like not that long ago, and I had completely forgotten about it. But for some people, all hell would have broken loose. All hell would have broken loose. Just from your stuff. I didn't say a word. Because I know I hadn't done anything. Give me back my stuff. Took my stuff, handed it back, pulled off, took him home. I went home. Day was done. And unfortunately, that's not what we're living in right now. Right now, it's about me being right. You shouldn't have stopped me. I didn't do nothing. I know I hadn't done anything. I know I hadn't done anything at all. I am not going to be speeding. I'm not going to be running lights. I'm not going to be doing this. I'm not going to be doing that. It wasn't where I was stopped and they stopped me. You know, they ticketed me for double parking, or, you know, I darted in or changed lane. But we don't live like that now. Everybody's got to be the last one talking because they want to be the last man standing. And these days and times, the only way to be the last man standing most times is to keep your mouth shut and keep it moving. Does it make us look like a punk? And, you know, we've talked about that. Yeah, it might. But at the end of the day, I don't care. I don't care. If they stop me erroneously and they shouldn't have, which they shouldn't have, then God will deal with them. Then God will deal with them. what is my fight going to do? She didn't say anything extra because it was the female on my side who actually talked. She didn't say anything out of the norm, out of the way. She didn't say anything nasty. I knew she shouldn't have stopped me, but that's why I just took my stuff and just pulled off. But I'm not standing here and I'm not challenging you. And sometimes that's what we have to just simply do. Just be quiet. Because I need to be the last man standing. I had 3 kids to get home to. And that was my concern. She didn't know I was pregnant in the car. And she didn't know if I had drugs in the car. But they didn't ask me for anything but my credentials. Now, how many times have they just stopped and asked for credentials and found something else? So whether it was just let's just stop her and see. I don't know what it was. But let me share this with you before I go. One of the things that I have come to know is God watching over me? Now, why do I say that? What do I mean by that? What are you talking about, Pastor Steph? Could there have been an accident ahead? Could there have been an accident ahead that I would have been in had I continued to go? Even if it was not my fault. But because of the traffic stop, for no reason, God kept me back 5 extra minutes so that I avoided any danger or harm ahead of me. I didn't know that back then. But here's the thing, I couldn't act on it back then. Now, the Stephanie today may have just simply been quiet just because that's where my head could have been. Like, okay, they ain't gotta be stopping me. But you know what? Maybe this is actually God stopping, not them stopping. But now in hindsight, it's a possibility that I may never know why I was stopped. But I have to trust the very God I serve. And this is why I keep saying to you, try Jesus. Because let me help you understand something. That opens up your thought capacity. When we don't have God feeding us in any shape, form, or fashion, because we're not serving him, we limit what we get from God. Yeah, we do. You may not like it, but let me tell you something. There are plenty verses that tell us that our serving God is a major blessing to us, and it helps to feed us in many, many different ways that a non-believer would not be fed. Now, whether you want to believe that or not, you go to your word of God. I'm trusting that God is going to give me extra because I am serving him. I am trusting that God is going to give me extra because it is better to obey than to sacrifice. I'm just going to be obedient. We have been told scripturally to obey authority. It ain't got to make sense. We ain't got to be right. We ain't got to be wrong. Or simply obey. And whatever happens in that instance, God has got our back. Pastor K.O. said it. We have to trust God. And I know a lot of times it's hard. In this climate, it is extremely hard to just simply trust God because our minds are everywhere. All the cops are just out to get us, and I'm black, and I'm a black woman, and blah, blah, blah. Why I got to go through all this? I know people who just fight for everything. I don't want to turn over my ID. I don't want to have to show my ID. I don't want you touching my ID. I don't want you doing this. Why I got to show this? Why I got to prove that? Why I owe my name all over the internet? Why? The world is what it is. We can't change any of it. We can't change these things. The fact that my name, all you gotta do is type in Stephanie Griffin and it pops up and gives you all my information. There is nothing I can do about that. Nothing. Nothing I can do about that. But I do know God is going to protect me. I do know. I have been the victim of identity theft 3 times. And here I am, yet still standing, telling you to trust God. Think about that. Are we going to just simply do what God needs us to do and trust him? Or are we going to fight everything? Because at the end of the day, are we going to be winners? Or are we going to be losers? And the saddest part, because I keep saying it's sad. There's a lot of things that are sadder than what meets the eye. And what is grossly sad is that a lot of stuff we will never see, but we won't trust God enough to believe that He's working at all times. But because we don't visibly see it, we won't move. Because we don't visibly see it, we'll make a move. We're challenging everything opposed to just allowing God to dictate when we step up. Because I'm not saying we need to stand by and just take everything. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is when we trust God, when we allow God to feed us as to what we should do and what we shouldn't do, then we will not be losers. Even when we lose, we will not lose. Because losing most times is a frame of mind. Because the word of God says the last will be first and the first will be last. So just because they're ahead of the game now does not mean that they're going to end up, in the front of the line. Just because we're in the back of the line right now and we are the targeted audience does not mean at the end of the day we won't be the front runners. But I have to trust God for that one. I have to trust God. And when I'm trusting God, I do see the injustice. But the best thing about this thing is I know that as long as I serve God, I will always have justice in my pocket. That God will always render me justice, even when I may not see it come from that angle. See, you reap what you sow in life. It's not like when you're putting seeds in your ground. For real. So if I live at 1515 Mockingbird Lane and I'm loading up my grass with seed and I'm watering it and I'm treating it every day, it's not going to grow in 1517 Mockingbird Lane. It's only going to grow in 1515. However, your life in the Lord and your life outside of the Lord ain't working like that. Because you will reap what you sow, but you may not necessarily reap where you've sown. Yeah. Sometimes we feed our children, feed our family, feed our friends, and we get nothing back from them, but yet God will send a blessing from someplace else. He says you will reap what you sow, but we don't know where we're going to reap from. So trust God, because you will reap what you sow. And unfortunately, we've run into where she reaped what she sowed into. She sowed into bad seeds, sowed bad seeds into the ground, and unfortunately, she got bad. Whether this cop was a good cop, made a bad decision, a bad cop who made the decision, it doesn't matter. What matters is we set the scene for ourselves at times, and we can't get out of it, and that's what happened. So my thought to you. My thought today is to help you, as always, to focus on the bigger picture. We can never control what other people do, ever, but we can always control what we do. All this, I blacked out and all this kind of stuff. Oh, okay. How do you get to the point where you black out? Where you can't even see what happens. You can't even recall what happens. You can only control you. You cannot control the next individual. No matter how right you are, you cannot control what happens at all times. Because we cannot dictate or determine what a person will do. So put your hands your life in the hands of God and see how things work differently for you. Because we are living in a very, very bad climate. We are. There was a question earlier, are all Trump supporters racist? I can't say yes, because I don't know why you're supporting Trump. I know Black men and Latino men who support Trump. I've seen some Black women who support Trump. He's never done anything for us, but they're supporting him. I don't know if they're racist or not, but they just agree with some of the things he stands for. Again, you can't control what other people do. They can't see necessarily what you see. Anybody who voted for him, we saw what he did the first go round. He wasn't out for us the first go round, and we had it 10 times worse this go round. He hasn't even been in office for a year. But we've had to eat a lot of his nastiness and wickedness. How y'all didn't see this coming? Can I say that you're a racist? Not necessarily. But can I say that you're short-sighted? That's a different answer. So let's just keep our eye on the prize. And the only prize that is ever existing is the prize of salvation. Keep our eye on God. Trust God for everything that we do. And there will be times we will stumble and fall. But I tell you one thing, if you keep your eye on the prize, you won't stumble as much as you stand up. Continue to salute God. You will not go wrong. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Thank you for just helping us do what we do and making sure that chat room stays alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares, where is Wow Wednesday. Until then, I love